Lots of agencies are out there picking up bits of those families. So you'd have youth services working with the young people around particular issues. You may have a parenting agency working with parents. You may have social services sort of overseeing certain issues or whatever, or you would have the youth justice board working with some kind of criminal element. So you had all these different factors working with elements of each part of this family, but bringing it all together was the thing that wasn't happening. And I can clarify that when I worked at Swanwick Lodge and provided volunteers into Swanwick Lodge, the classic thing that all the staff said is that some of these young people aren't the issue, it's actually the parents and the parenting they're getting. And so the thing that they would love is to have an opportunity where they could work with everyone, work with the young people and with the parents. And, you know, and I remember that was being said to me 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. So I think the fact that we're in a position where we go in and meet the whole family, I mean, tomorrow and today, you know, I've gone into a home where I've met kids, mum, dad, everyone, all in the same house. And we all talk about the same issues together. And they all fall out on bits and have to calm it down and say, right, okay, well, let's start again, right, let's listen, what were you saying, whatever. But it's about them as a package working together and trying to find the answers to their own issues. And it's very, it doesn't take long before one starts telling them, well, actually, you did say that, and actually that didn't work out for you, and that was, and they start working with one another and trying to solve out some of their problems.
It's just a conversation, a non-judgmental conversation.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You know, because you can have conversations with people and they're off writing things down in the little black book and they focus on negative.
You thinking back to how things were before.
Absolutely. And with Ben, I don't think he's focused on negative. I don't think Transform are focused on negative. I think they want to take the positive out of everything. And if you focus on that, all the other things seem to kind of realign themselves and sort themselves out as you go along. Obviously, I was going to come out of prison in a couple of months, and it's a big adjustment for all the family when you've been away for, I mean, I was away for 27 months, and, you know, everybody's established different roles within the household while I've been away, everything's changed, and we needed a bit of help kind of piecing everything back together, I suppose.
Yeah. Schools have an invested interest and invested time in young people. Even on a daily basis they're working, and of course they are, you know, in certain occasions working with young people that I'm working with, that when they're working with them they're not seeing the best of their behaviour. Primarily it could be associated with the context or the circumstance or the environment that they're in. So of course when I see the young person on a one-to-one, it's fine, it's great, it's non-judgmental, it's non-confrontational to a point, and they can be more open and discuss with me, but at the same time I still have to explain to that young person, as I do to my colleague who's in that school, say, look, this is why the school are making those decisions. This is why they're having to say what they're saying. This is why you're getting isolation. This is why you're getting, you know, an exclusion or something. And trying to explain that to not just the young person but the family, and then working with the schools and the family. So
the head teacher told me about Transform and everything, and said that I might have to go on social services if I work with these, and she explained it all to me.
Right.
If I was willing to meet up with them.
So how did Ben introduce himself to you?
He sent me a letter when I was away. Yeah, I got a letter from Transform explaining who they were. To have that involvement straight away, it was just good, you know. I think the priorities were kind of for me to reintegrate into the family. In terms of relationship building again with the children. I spoke to a lot of guys who had been away, done what I did, and came out and failed and ended up back in prison. And one of the main issues for them was trying to do everything at the one time. So I was quite clear that I wasn't going to come out and get a job straight away. I wasn't going to come out and do all of this straight away. I wanted to take small steps. Our oldest son's in work now, which he wasn't before. Our oldest daughter's at college now. She's got through school and she's at college. Obviously, I'm in full-time education now myself, and I'm doing really well. And I don't know, Kelly's coming along. Her confidence is gradually getting there, and it's all things that weren't in place before, and it's probably without Ben's help or without Transform's help, I don't think a lot of that would have happened. I think as a family we're ready now for Transform to be a lot lesser involved than they have been. I think we've come a long way in the last 14 months, individually, and as a collective family. How much this has impacted upon us, and how much it's kind of improved things for us as a family, you know, and how much it's allowed us to kind of grow.
Once we went to probation and we bumped into me into one of his offending peers, and he sort of looked at me and I was like, oh, okay. So there's lots of pressure there which Scott has dealt with, and Kelly particularly well. I think for Kelly personally, she's done amazingly well in building trust.
You're doing an electrician's course, aren't
I
you?
am, yeah.
But you're doing it at BCOT.
I am.
And is it Astra? She's at BCOT as well, isn't
She is, yeah.
And what's the course that she's doing?
She's doing public services and sport level 1.
And what does she want to do?
She wants to become a police officer.
And I think the non-judgmental thing that we talked about is a huge part. Yes, you don't want to ignore, you know, you've got to be responsible, and you don't want to ignore things if they're not right, but at the same time it's always trying to look at the positives, always building on the strengths that this family, this incredible family have.
You're a fool not to ask for it. You're a fool to yourself. If there's support out there and you need it and you don't ask for it, then you're kind of, in my opinion, you're letting yourself down, and you're letting your family down as well, you know, because this is a service that's there to help people, and it does, you know, it actually does work, and there are services out there that are meant to help people, and they don't.
Whereas now my progress is just great. I mean, I've got my own house, back at college, my baby's in childcare. I'm no longer on probation because obviously I attended my meetings from that little push, and things like that. It's just gone from the bottom to the top. So I've gone way above. Like, I never thought I'd be here where I am today. I thought I would have been still at my mum's, probably not doing nothing for myself. She's sort of arranged things, like we'd sit down and talk, but she's managed to like sort of tell me off as it goes. She sort of said, can't talk to your mum like that, or things like that, and then she'd explain to me what my mum's going through, because obviously like I didn't really socialise with my mum, did I? She'd go to work and come back and didn't really talk to her. Because Wendy had that relationship with my mum, she knew what my mum was going through, so Wendy sort of told me what my mum was going through for me to react the way I did, you know, made me more closer to my mum. We're able to talk to each other now. She's brought us closer together. Like, I don't, obviously from where I've had my own place now, I don't argue with my little brother, I actually get along with him. She's managed to bring my mum, me, to talk, be able to talk about things like adults, not arguments, things like that. She's managed to like sort of bring me and my little brother quite close as well. She's brought me, my little brother and my mum really close. Like, we're able to talk and do things together. We can actually go to town together and go out for something to eat. Like, whereas before we couldn't do that because it just turned into an argument and things like that. So I thought I couldn't do hairdressing. I felt like I was not able to do certain things, whereas where I've passed my exams, I think, oh, I can make something of myself, you know, and I'm actually quite enjoying it now. So that sort of made me think, oh, I don't just want to leave this year, like pass this year and be able to do hairdressing. I'd rather climb up sort of, you know, like climb up a tree. Well, when I was pregnant, before I met Wendy, I sat at home and done nothing, just become fatter. But obviously where I met Wendy, I got more motivated. I'd go out and I'd look at things and pick things. I'd read books, like baby books, and I'd sort of learn how to become a mum before she was born. And like, I'd look at things like Freya going into nursery. I was thinking, well, this college starts at this, how old will she be, like when she goes into nursery, because obviously I didn't want to give her away at a newborn. So it was sort of things like that, going to college and thinking about my future as well as hers, but being a mum at the same time, had to fit around things. I mean, especially if you're someone like me, I've had a lot of problems in my past, and I was never, like, I'm managing to sit here and talk about my past, whereas before, if someone wants to bring up my past, I'd say, I'd get angry about it, I wouldn't talk about it. Whereas now I'm actually able to sit here and say, whatever, I've moved on. And independent made me become who I am. Like, I'd definitely recommend it to other people, especially if they're lacking confidence and not able to do things. Something as simple as a shopping list.
I think that we have a responsibility to prevent escalation. So if you look at a family and you can see that the attitudes or the intentions of the parenting or whatever is that this is going to become more problematic, that there is a potential risk of harm or severe harm that's going to progress, then all people involved, including us, have to play together in that part to make sure that we prevent that escalation. So if it's a step up, that's a step up because we believe that the statutory will come in and play that part to prevent the escalation of even some more serious harm. I've been in a situation very early on with a family where we've made 3 team around the family meetings, and at every case of those family meetings we've made a phone call to social services because we've been afraid of the treatment of one of those young people in that family. Eventually, after 3, it was perfectly clear that there was a concern here, it needed to be stepped up, and social services have picked it up, and now we are still playing a role in that family because of the relationship that we've established. There's a clarity in relation to what we're doing with that family, and I'm working very closely with the social worker, one, to make sure the family engage with the social worker. So I've gone on joint visits because they have a history of social services, so they have a sort of prejudicial sort of discrimination against the social worker, and I'm saying, no, hold on, we're all working here together. So I go in with the social worker to encourage the family to engage with the social worker. Because, and it's still an ongoing process. It's very complex with mental health needs, even challenging issues for the young people, for the children in the household. There's a history of abuse. It's very complex. So it's a whole package of trying to support this family.
I think it's about relationship building with other professionals as well. Yeah. So, you have to be as honest and as professional with those other agencies as you are with your families. So, and because you're the link, and you're all there to do the same service for the family, is to, to move them on and to improve their life, achievements, their goals, their aspirations. So, you're all working for the same.
So inevitably it's about personal relationships across the board.
Yeah.
Both between you and families, but also between you and your peers, if we can put it.
Well, in the life of a transformer, family support worker, whatever, you're out there meeting families, but you also need to be in the office making phone calls, ringing up agencies, trying to book referrals, trying to get that thing sorted out. So that takes up time, and then the third part of that,
finding the resource that's required, because you may not necessarily know that the resource is out there.
Yeah, so there's a bit of research and investigation to do and whatever. But at the same time, on the back of that, you've then got your data and your recording and your monitoring system. Even if you get a phone call, it's got to go. So I understand that because of safeguarding commitments, but it's a case of, the magic question. If you could do one entry and it all went and answered all the questions, that would be the miracle cure.
And I think the TAF meetings are quite key because we're bringing all those professionals, and they are quite often uncomfortable for the family because the family are not used to being in that sort of setting, and they feel they're being judged, or they feel that they're having their lives laid out on the table and everything else. So all we can do is we can be the pacifier for the family, but explain to them how it's so important that we need these professionals there so that we can move, and go with the family and grow. And without these other professionals there, then we're not able to do that. And that's why it's really important for other professionals to join and have an active part in our TAF meetings. Just last week, we've been a young lad I'm working with, who's waiting for an assessment of special educational need. We had the CAMS worker attend for the first time our TAF meeting, and she has moved mountains to get us an assessment with the doctor for this young lad, and that wouldn't have happened if she hadn't attended. And so when professionals out there, when they do get an invite, there is a reason why we're inviting them, and that is really key to bringing all the services together.
And what's great is, particularly in Basingstoke, is that you can say, well, what can we do? Well, there's YPI, there's the YCP, there's the Orchard, there's Volunteer in Action, there's this group, there's that group, there's all these different resources available where you can actually go and ask for their support.
I think it works. It's a very trusting relationship that you're building with the families, and they may initially you put up some resistance, but as friendly as we are, and we go in there as open and honestly as we can be, you know, on the whole, we have, you know, we have successful intervention work, and I think that can only be, you know, that can only continue to be provided for the families, because it works. Why take something away that, you know, is working so well? It would be such a shame.